Hello. I have some solar panel charge controller cables on the table. It's building another solar panel rig system as redundancy, because as my motto goes, redundancy is God. Not literally God, meaning the principle of redundancy is certainly so God. I kind of find it funny that on the internet, if you type in silver, you'll get these people completely talking out of their backside about stuff. It's like, oh, silver's going to go to $1,000 an ounce, and you have the exact same type of people on YouTube talking about crypto. I've actually seen a lot of worrying signs from people that actually do know stuff, and I'd like to give a summation about 30 people collectively saying the exact same thing. I'd like to hit the high points about that. I'm not really interested in talking about crypto for more than about 4 or 5 minutes. But I mean, I have to be brutally honest, since I'm not selling anything other than leather goods, which is, very tough on my hands and very laborious. I certainly can't be made to feel bad about hard manual labor as opposed to people that sell t-shirts that they've never had their hands on and make significant profit from it, whereas I work hard and make a meager profit from leather goods. Not selling anything. I actually, feel afraid. Afraid's not really the right word. And trepidation. For people that told me that they've sunk a bunch of money into crypto, it's absolutely astonishing to me. One thing I've noticed on YouTube, and I don't really go around browsing for videos, I mean, I can see through the puerile nonsense really very quickly. One thing that nobody talks about, and it's something that you need to consider. Most people, it's not going to affect their lives at all. Let's hope it doesn't affect any of our lives. All these experts that are perpetually talking about money, including genuine billionaires, I've never heard one of them talk about it, ever. Is ultimate money versus, and we can't own that. Well, Americans can own part of it. I'll let you guess what that is, but Europeans cannot. And it's kind of how the entire world has worked since day one. My coin dealer guy that I've known and I've bought silver from, he has an article hanging on the wall. It's called "What is Money?" I didn't have to read it to know what the contents of it would be. There's only 3 types of money. I've actually posted a little diagram of this on Instagram. And I've not heard any of these billionaires or millionaires talk about it. They might privately, but not in any video. Looking for some words of wisdom about hedges against inflation and asset diversification. And asset diversification is no different than saying, don't keep all your eggs in the same basket. And this video really is a warning, and I'm getting to that, but I wanted to talk about this first. Only 3 forms of money, really. Everybody talks about fiat currency, right? I mean, that, of course, is no different than a trust IOU issued by the Fed. Everybody loves to throw around fiat currency. It's paper. We know that. But I'm talking about ultimately 3 types of currency. Number 1, gold, silver, platinum. We can include palladium if we want. People have asked me about buying palladium, and your average goober has no idea what palladium is. So you got gold, silver, platinum, precious metals. Number 2 is the currency used by basically 2 entities, banks and poor people, and that is debt. Debt, is a form of servitude. It's like, well, you don't have to pay me anything. You need to dribble it back to me every month for the next 30 years or until you drop dead. And, if you drop dead, then I'll just get it all back. So I'll have all your money that you've given me, plus the original thing that I, loaned you the money for the car or for the piece of, real estate property, your home or your farm or whatever. I went into Cabela's today to look for something particular, a water purifier that they actually have there, and always accosted by somebody trying to sell me. It's a Capital One card. It's got Cabela's name on it. It's a really high interest rate. And of course this is debt. And they were pitching, there's 2 of them trying to pitch it to me. And of course this happens everywhere. And I said, oh, debt slavery. Oh, they actually got offended. I'd probably get a commission if they're able to sign me up some sort of bunny points, I'm sure. I said, oh, debt slavery. They took offense to that. I said, that was funny. And she said, there's two of them, guy and a girl. She said, no, it wasn't funny at all. I said, but it's accurate. It's debt slavery. It's a high interest rate piece of debt slavery. And I said, you must confuse me for someone that's stupid. I said, I'm not stupid. There's no way I would ever do that. I don't have a credit card, by the way. You know, I know you need it for car rentals and stuff. So that's the second form, is debt. So gold, silver, platinum, precious metals. Number two is the currency of banks and poor people. This is basically, well, it's just debt slavery. I mean, just let's be honest. And number three, nobody talks about this. I never heard a millionaire or a billionaire talk about it, and it's 100% undeniable. It's the type of currency that governments care about. I call them force metals. And that's exactly what they are. Force metals. Lead, uranium, and plutonium. I'll let you figure out what lead is. Yeah, lead. All lead, by the way, is depleted uranium. So when you say uranium and lead, you're basically talking pretty much about the same stuff. So those are the metals of force. Lead, uranium, and platinum. By the way, anybody thinking about buying gold, I don't tell anybody what to buy or not buy, but you're just flat out a fool. You're just hardcore, flat out a fool to think about buying gold. Its real value is between $800 and $1,200 an ounce. That's not my opinion. It's a fact. The only reason it's so frigging high is since 2015 it's done that number. And that's the reason why is because two reasons, actually. These governments are trying to back up their fiat currency, especially now with BRICS. China, Russia, et cetera, BRICS plus, there's a bunch more countries trying to back up their fiat currencies. And the banks are buying it. It's the only two people that should be buying it, and they have been buying it. That's the reason why it's done this number. You're paying twice as much. You want to buy something? Buy platinum. Yeah, or silver. Silver just took a $3 an ounce jump, essentially. I bought most of mine at $17 an ounce. It closed today right at $25 an ounce, as I recall. Here's the fact. They say, well, jobs, unemployment is way down. There's a reason why unemployment is way down. Inflation is driving more people to more jobs. I work 4 jobs. The labor market is extremely weak. People now actually cannot afford to support themselves. It's just, I like, what's that animal? It's basically, it does this number with its eyeballs. I forget if it's a lizard or a fish or something like that. I'm always doing that, looking what's going on around me. Most people are oblivious. They get off their job, they go to the grocery store, they buy whatever, they look down at their iPads or whatever. They're completely oblivious to what's going on around them. It reminds me of the French, some of the French, not that I'm picking on the French, during World War II, and the German tanks were rolling down the streets. They're sitting there cooking and baking their bread. It's like you could hear the tanks rolling down the street. A person with situational awareness, which is so incredibly important, most people don't have situational awareness, be like, oh crap, let's grab the gold and silver and like flee. Let's run as fast as we can. If you have a vehicle, get in it, head the other way. And I bemoan people that don't have situational awareness. Absolutely amazing. By the way, when a collapse happens, and a collapse is happening, and by definition, implementation of central bank digital currency is a definition of a collapse. The only thing that actually has real value is tangibles. I'd like to talk about crypto just for a few minutes here, then talk about a warning I'm hearing from a lot of people. This video is a warning, and it's not clickbait. I mean, I bemoan anybody that calls this clickbait. I don't make videos like that. If you think I do, you don't know me at all. There's one guy named Saylor, I'm not going to mention his first name, that's quoted by a very intelligent billionaire. These people that actually have money in Bitcoin, this guy says that Bitcoin is like energy. Well, you need tons of energy to make it, and once you've made it, you lose that energy. You have Bitcoin, but the only energy you have connected to Bitcoin is the power bill you get from the company to make it. One guy, I think he pays like $24,000 a month. He has a crypto mining farm. His electric bill is $24,000 a month, and he makes something like $38,000. It's like, well, I net like $16,000 a month. Well, it's useless. People like this, and I've been hearing from a lot of people like this for years, they're kind of like a used car salesman with a cheap polyester suit. These people, they poo-poo real, well, you don't really own the real estate because you got to pay property taxes every year. You don't really own it. Well, that's partially true. But, flicking snot at that aspect of real estate does not empower Bitcoin or any form of crypto. I know there are many forms of crypto. The one that, of course, that anybody would invest in, and of course it's the worst investment possible because it's so incredibly volatile, is of course Bitcoin. It's just a string of numbers. It has no value whatsoever. It's preposterous to think that that is anything that you put your money in. There's no underlying value in something that is worthless. Crypto actually, this is pure conjecture on my part, feel free to disagree, it's a Trojan horse to get people used to dealing with the upcoming central bank digital currency. By the way, I forget the name of the code that underlies Bitcoin, but it's a system that was invented by the NSA/CIA. I forget the code, it's the structure code, source code of Bitcoin. It was actually invented by the NSA/CIA. Crypto has no more value than an IOU letter. It's just a contract. Of course, the government and the Fed use a complicated IOU system in the form of fiat currency. And of course, I know what the Fed has been doing. You don't need to tell me the bloody obvious already, of course. All unsecured debt, of course, is just like credit cards. It's unsecured debt. You need to look up, by the way, what unsecured debt is. Like your car and your house is secure debt. In other words, if you don't pay it, they'll repossess it off of you. You don't pay your property taxes, they'll repossess that off of you also. So, highly volatile assets. This is a fact that you can't deny, and I'm talking about crypto here, and I'm trashing crypto. People that actually know a lot and they're not selling anything, they have that bleep you money, you know, mega millionaires, mega billionaires, to trash crypto for the same reason. Highly volatile assets destroy wealth. Highly volatile assets destroy wealth. There is no asset on this earth more volatile than crypto, unless, say for example, you have a fireworks factory where one match could actually take it out. Even that, though, is still a tangible asset versus crypto. Fools saying crypto is the greatest store of value because it's gone up so much in the past few years. Well, I mean, that's just a fool's logic. I know a couple people that comment have made a lot of money off of crypto. They got in early, they bought it right, they hit the magic sweet spot there. There's a lot of these YouTubers that are interested in pumping and dumping. One of them is supposedly a billionaire. I don't know if he is or not. It just keeps, oh, crypto, Bitcoin's going to go up to 100,000, you know, in the next few. It's just, these people I know for a fact are pumping and dumping. That's where you pump something up, you inflate it big time, and you yourself dump it. Banks are actually doing something like that right now, and some people that I actually trust and value, they've actually put their money where their mouth is. Some of the things they've told me I'm getting to here, which is of course the basis of this video, which is a warning. Stuff that they've told me that I had feared is happening is actually happening. So this is just a fool's logic. The fact that it's gone up drastically doesn't mean it can't go down to nothing. It's nothing other than a string of numbers. It's absolutely just a string of numbers. It has no inherent value. It is not tangible. I've told this to people over and over again, and it is undeniable. You have to have electricity for crypto to work. You have to have the internet for it to work. You have to have a network for it to work, and you have to have a pack of fools who collectively believe in it. You have to be a true believer. You have to have enough true believers to actually have critical mass where things, you know, the crypto then becomes a gravitational entity that people then believe in. And you just have basically a form of monetary religion. You know, it's valuable because there's enough of us fools that believe it has value. It has no value at all. It has no inherent value. You can't counter that. You can't argue it because it's 100% undeniable. Once again, what anybody sticks their money in is none of my business. But I've had a lot of people say they've stuck a significant portion of their portfolio into crypto, and that's just scary. You know, if I didn't give a damn, I'd say, you know, let them make a foolish mistake. But I mean, I really feel sorry for people that have done that. I've sold everything not glued down. I know a lot about real estate. I have about 70% of everything I have in real estate, about 15% in precious metals, and then I have it in other metals. So I've made wise decisions. Every piece of real estate that I've got is worth a minimum of the triple of what I paid for it. Someone's going to say, well, they could seize land. I don't know if you know this or not, but there are apps out there that you could download that tracks everywhere a piece of crypto goes. If you think that it's anonymous and the governments can't track you, it's not my opinion, it's an undeniable fact. Every bit of crypto that's transferred from you to some guy in Timbuktu, here, there, and it's all trackable. They know exactly who's got it, where it is, and where it got transferred to, at what time. All of that is trackable. That used to be a great excuse for people that believed in the crypto scam. Well, it's untrackable, and the government's blah, 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 blah. No, they can track all of it. They don't talk about that anymore because everybody now knows that. Well, basically everybody does. I see so much horror going on out there as far as food. There's going to be a huge increase here in the next month or so. By the way, we have BRICS, a meeting in South Africa to host a summit in a bit over a month on the 22nd of August. It's going to be gold-backed. It can't be backed by the yuan or the ruble for a string of reasons that it take forever to explain, but it's going to be gold-backed. How much of it they would have to put into it for it to be gold-backed, like 10 or 20%, and the rest of it be a trust value? I think you only need like 10 or 20% of actual coverage for something to be genuinely gold-backed. You don't have to back it by 100%. Everything is basically an IOU. An IOU is just a fancy way of saying, trust me! That's what a credit card is, because a credit card is unsecured debt. You could rack up a gazillion bucks on your credit card. And you're just like, well, and I changed my mind. It's unsecured debt. Go look up unsecured debt. I'm not saying doing anything like that via a credit card. I'm just saying what it is. It's a trust system. Crypto is nothing but a trust system. You have to have a critical mass for it. The same thing with fiat money. Well, it was no different than fiat money. The Fed just prints it, spontaneously. Yes, they do, and that's extremely unfortunate. I don't trust cash either, but we all have to have cash, to pay bills. I keep almost nothing in the bank, just enough to pay bills and buy groceries, gas, water, electric, pay the property tax bills that are coming up. Please God, if you take my advice on nothing, don't buy gold. I've been buying precious metals since I was young. And by the way, precious metals are not an investment. Someone says, I'm invested in gold. Precious metals, not my opinion, a fact, are the top 3 worst investments on earth. They just are. Infinitely better than, of course, a worthless piece of paper that the government can print, but it is not an investment. It is 2 things, asset diversification and a hedge against inflation, and also, too, the fact that the government can't spontaneously print it. It is not an investment. Silver is like top 3. Why do I have, a significant bit of silver? Not that I have any money. What have I got total cash-wise? I think I've got like $3,800 cash to my name. Like maybe $600 in the bank, I think, $580 in the bank, and cash on hand. Not that I think it's an investment at all. I bought most of it at $17 an ounce. Currently, it's closed today at $25. I may get dropped back down to $17 tomorrow. I am not a speculator in silver, but the government can't print it, and it is real money. And it has been real money since the dawn of time. Digital farts, which is exactly what crypto is. Let me repeat that. Digital farts. Digital flatulence. Power, electricity, network, and a pack of fools to have critical mass to believe in it. I'm sorry, but the only billionaires and mega millionaires that I trust have said the exact same thing about crypto, so if you don't take my word for it, why don't you take theirs? They're not selling their books or anything. You'll say, don't buy crypto. I would never buy crypto. Do whatever you want. Anyway, I'm getting to the warning here, actually, and I've had so many people that I actually trust and they're not irrational and they're hyperlogical say the same thing. I got the last email on this today. I was like, I got to make a video about this and tell people. That's the one good thing about being on YouTube is I get funneled information and I have a really good filter for filtering out the poppycock and irrational nonsense. I do, believe it or not. Is there anything I want to point on to this before getting on to that? No. But it is bad out there, and groceries are the primary components of groceries, like protein, fertilizer, sugar. Not that I eat sugar products. It's in so many things. All of these things are going drastically up around about August or September. And if you think grocery prices are high now, and they're astronomically high, I mean, I just about shriek every time I go to the grocery store, and I don't do anything but buy garbage. Not like real garbage. I'm not buying mac and cheese, but I mean, it's bad. I mean, it is just really, really bad. People are not living right now at all. What they're doing is surviving, and even then only barely surviving. 2/3 of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and they don't even have $500 to cover an emergency. It's just absolutely horrible. Here's another fact as far as keeping your money in the bank. FDIC insurance, the actual fine print on that is frightening. Most people have never read the fine print on FDIC. Oh, it's insured, FDIC, my money in the bank, it's insured. Not really. It technically is, but not really. Here's both ways you lose. You take the money out of the bank. The Fed is bailing out the bank. Inflation keeps going up, so you got your money. It's being devalued. It's basically a tax on your money. So it's out of the bank. You've lost. You keep the money in the bank. The bank fails because the government doesn't bail it out. You've lost that way. So if it's in the bank or not in the bank, you've failed. You got it in there, and they have to protect your money because there's a massive run on the banks, and these banks are oversold. I want to get to that in a second here. You failed either way. So having the cash in your vault at home, you failed because of inflation. You keep it in the bank, and the bank defaults, and then the Fed just prints a bunch more money and jacks up inflation to cover the losses of the banks and to cover your losses if it's under 200,000. You failed either way. So heads you win. I mean, heads you lose. Tails you lose either way. It's unbelievable. Here's a synopsis of what a lot of people have told me. 7 times more liquidity in the market in the upper range of the market compared to 2008 crash. Especially futures. Everything is top-heavy in the banks right now. We've actually had a canary in the coal mine when those banks failed a few months ago. Remember that? Remember when those banks were failing? Well, they made mistakes. Those were outliers. No. The best experts estimate there's still 42% of banks in America that are about to fail. By the way, the only government, I've talked about this before, the only way that the government can get out of this is CBDC and war. The only way out of the countless, endless trillions, what is it, 38 trillion in debt, the crisis that's happening in the United States, there's only 2 ways out. Central bank digital currency, which would be FedNow coin, and war. And whether it's one or the other or both, it's probably both. Did you know that we're actually shipping long-range missiles through Europe to Ukraine? Did you know that? It's something we said we would never, ever, ever do. The only way out is war. It's just, things just keep escalating. It's unbelievable. What happens when BRICS makes their decision at the end of August and they get together and they're going to try to destroy the dollar? The United States knows what's going on. They're going to either implement CBDC and or war. That's the only way to stop this. There's no other way around for the U.S. government to do this. Once again, we get back to number 3. 3 types of money. Gold, silver, platinum. We have debt of the banks and the people that are indebted to the banks, debt slaves basically, and they have the metals of force. So at some point in time, the United States, via proxy or directly, is going to implement metals of force, lead, uranium, and platinum. Banks are flooding the markets with Fed discounted money in order to bolster their positions. I have a lot of people that have told me that they're getting out of their 401ks. And they've taken out all high-risk positions that they had. Right now we have a dead cat bounce. Everybody says, oh, the market's bouncing back. One person accurately called it, I've heard this before, it's called a dead cat bounce. In other words, the cat is dead. But everybody says, oh, the market's doing better, the unemployment's low. The unemployment's low because everybody's rocking 3 or 4 jobs just to stay afloat. The cat's dead. It is bouncing. Off the pavement, kind of like a rubber ball. Dead cat bounce. So where you get it from? Oh, everything's improving. Look at the stock markets. Go doing this number. It's a dead cat bounce. The cat is dead. Soon the cat's going to fall right off the edge of the cliff after the bounce. This happened in 2008. It happened again, 1931. Inorganic market that's extremely top-heavy and can be easily flash crashed at a moment's notice. Market's extremely top-heavy. The Fed's distributing money to the banks. Right now, the banks are operating off the dead cat bounce to save their own arses. This is the same reason people pump and dump stuff that they've inflated. Oh, you need to buy it, it's going to go to 10,000. They themselves are dumping it. They've looked into the future just as the banks care about their bottom line. Right now the banks are using this dead cat bounce. I have a lot of people tell me they're getting out of their 401k, rid of all the high-risk positions, and that the market is horrifically top-heavy, and it's going to be way, way worse than the 2008 crash. Once again, there's only two ways out. CBDC versus Visa, the Fed coin, and or war. One or the other, if not both. This is a genuine warning. I mean, when I look around and I see how people are living right on the edge, it's absolutely horrific, and it's scary. Not that I get scared. And you don't want to see what a real collapse looks like, because civilization, once again, is the thinnest crust over top of the largest, most powerful volcano on Earth. Thinnest crust, largest, kind of like Yellowstone National Park. Or is it Yosemite? Is it Yosemite? It's Yellowstone, I think it is, right? So idyllic and beautiful, sitting over top of a super volcano that will basically like destroy the world when it goes off. So tell me what you think. I read every comment.